There you go.
I'm Grant Haugen. I grew up on a small dairy farm about 7 miles east of Stephen, and went to Stephen High School, graduated in 1967. I went to aviation mechanics in Thief River Falls for about a year, and then I signed up for the Marine Corps February 20th, 1969, and went to MCRD boot camp in San Diego. Our boot camp lasted about 8 weeks, and graduated from there with...
Well, let's go back to what was boot camp like?
When I got to boot camp, we got on buses, and the DIs came on the bus, and I wasn't on the farm anymore. They were screaming and hollering at us, and we lined up on the golden footprints in San Diego with the DIs running up and down the...
What's a golden footprint?
For the Marine Corps, we got yellow footprints on the reception area where we were welcomed, and we had to stand on that golden footprint, and we got our initiation there from the DIs, and spent about, well, as I said, 8 weeks in boot camp. I was able to...
What's some of the things you did in boot camp?
Oh, we did a lot of calisthenics, a lot of classes, running from each class to each class, a lot of marching in the basic camp, trying to train us to become a unit, you know, working in step with each other. And it was fun the first few days watching these guys come in with long hair and have it all shaved off. And
they lost a lot of their personality, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. We're all pretty much equal when you got your head shaved off.
What kind of barracks did you stay in?
At the MCRD, when I went in, we had 10 Quonset huts. Each squad had a Quonset hut. And now what they have is barracks there at the MCRD. But
so in this Quonset hut, how many guys were in that?
there are about 14 in a Quonset hut, and double bunks. And from there we had to scramble and take care of our area, make our beds.
A lot of inspections?
A lot of inspections.
Any foot lockers thrown around?
Yeah, we cleaned it all up, had it looking nice, and then all of a sudden the DIs throw the stuff around, and we had to clean it up again. One thing I learned from the Marine Corps, though, is you take care of your squad. When somebody messes up, we all paid. So we counseled those that were messing up.
So you helped out the ones that weren't quite as good as you?
We encouraged them to improve, yes.
Right. Any blanket parties?
Unfortunately, I witnessed one. I didn't partake in it. But we had one guy who was messing up all the time. And at nighttime, all of a sudden I heard these footsteps going through the Quonset hut. They threw a blanket over this guy and disciplined him.
A lot of people don't know what a blanket party is, but it's a blanket of hard knocks, I believe is what we called it.
You bet it is. He got knocked around pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, next morning we paid for it as a squad, and but it's amazing, the guy disappeared from our unit. He went to, and they moved him to some other place.
Yeah. Do any bivouacking out in the field?
When I went to advanced training, yes.
But you didn't do anything like that in
not in boot camp that I can remember. I remember we went to the rifle range, but we stayed in a barrack there.
How'd you do on the rifle range?
I had a sharpshooter badge. I got that. I was just fell short of experts.
Did the Marines go through the gas chamber and all that stuff?
Oh yes, we
Tear gas?
We had to go in a tin hut, and the guy popped a gas grenade, and we had to sing the Marine Corps hymn, and march around, and when you open the door, we just piled out. So fun times.
How about crawling under machine gun fire, any of that?
Yeah, we had to do that too. It was a low crawl, but they had a barbed wire a couple feet off the ground so that you could crawl and kind of limit so nobody would pop up and stand up during that. But yeah, that tested the morale of the Marines.
Grenade toss, anything like that?
Yeah, we threw grenades for practice. And in Vietnam, I threw a lot of them. But
So, what did your parents think you going in the service?
That's a good question. Because I was selfish at that time. I went in on my own, signed the papers. Really didn't talk to my parents that much about going in the Marine Corps. I just knew at that time I had allergies. I wasn't going to be a farmer. And I kind of have some remorse about that, wishing I would have talked to my parents about that more. But at that age, you got ego, and you just go ahead and do what you want.
How about after you got out of the service, were they okay with that then, or?
Yeah, they were glad I made it through. So
Okay. All right.
they were happy to see me come back.
So, do you have a ceremony for graduation?
For our ceremony, we had a number of platoons. I can't remember how many again, 4 to 5. But our platoon got honor platoon. And I was fortunate enough when I graduated from boot camp, I was able to get the honor man. I got a set of dress blues given to me, and still got them.
Still got your dress blues?
Yep.
Still fit?
They don't fit. Need spandex now.
So, after graduation, I take it your parents didn't come to graduation or anything like that?
No.
So, where'd you go from there?
I was able to come home for a little bit from what I recall, and then I went back.
Were you able to come home?
Yeah. And then I went back to advanced infantry training. And once we completed that, then we were shipped to Okinawa and then to Vietnam.
Well, let's go back to AIT. And that was where again?
That was at Camp Pendleton, California, in the hills. And
what was that like? I mean, that had to be pretty intense training, right?
that was very intense. We had to do what we called a route step. In other words, the classes were designated a few miles away. You had to hike with a full pack on and your rifles and carry everything there. And if you were in the front of the pack, you were good. But if you were in the back of the pack, it was like a slinky. You went together, go back. People were sprinting back there sometimes. So,
Did you still have, like in AIT, did the Marines have road guards where they had to go out and stop traffic or anything like that? You remember anything like that?
just vaguely, but we were out in the open area all the time, so we pretty much went up the hills and got to our class site. And we had another rifle range we shot at, and learning for combat fighting.
Do any machine guns, laws, anything like that?
Yeah, we at the advanced infantry training we shot the M60 machine gun, threw grenades, and we switched from the M14 to the M16 in advanced infantry training. So we were trained in boot camp on the M14, and then advanced training we went to the M16s.
Well, M16 must have just been coming out then too.
I believe it was, yeah. It was a lot lighter. Kind of like that.
Mickey Mantle, I think, or Mattel, the Mattel toy they called it.
Oh, yeah.
At that time it jammed quite a bit, yeah.
I took care of mine in Vietnam, so I kept it well cleaned and lubricated, and it worked good for me.
Good. So, how long was AIT? 4 weeks?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's 4 to 5 weeks. a long time ago. I arrived in Vietnam, I think it was August 15th, 1969. So I guess if I could do the math there.
That was a year before me, yeah. So you went home for a while, take it, before you went to Vietnam? You had some leave?
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what it was. If it was between boot camp and advanced training or after advanced training. I just can't recall.
Well, you said you went home after boot camp.
Yeah,
You must have went home for a while before going to Vietnam, right?
No.
Nothing? I'll be darned. So did you go over as a squad or platoon or just...
At that time, everybody was kind of on a rotating shift, so we didn't have a squad that we trained with and went over there with. We were kind of individually placed when we got there.
Where did you fly into? Cam Bay, Long Binh?
Da Nang is where
Da Nang is where you went? Oh, right
I
into Da
remember
Nang.
we flew right into Da Nang.
Okay.
And from there, they trucked us out to our receiving area. And we got hit the first night I was there, so...
You got hit the first night?
Yeah, we got fire.
Incoming?
Incoming fire right away that first night. So.
Rockets?
No, this was some snipers out there shooting at
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
Welcome to Vietnam, huh?
Yeah, that was my welcome. I knew it wasn't on the farming anymore.
Yeah.
But, when I got in Vietnam, then they set us up with a company, and I went to the, it was a 26 Marines. It was the 1st Marine Division, 3rd Battalion, 26 Marines, Kilo Company. And I was with them for 6 months. When we
As a rifleman or?
As a rifleman, yeah.
Okay.
And
what's your rank at this time?
Me, I was a PFC.
Okay. Private first class.
Yeah. And basically at Haugen Pass, we were just there to protect the road going up to Quang, where was it? Phu Bai. Yeah. The unit I joined, they had just come back from Khe Sanh, Hill 861, which is a few miles from the fire base.
Khe Sanh, that's the one I got hit pretty hard.
Quite, yeah.
Was that before you got there, or?
That was before I got there.
Yeah.
This unit I joined, they were there during the Tet Offense, and half of our platoon was new guys when I got there. So somebody either rotated out or rotated out a different way. So
Taken home in a
yeah.
coffin, yeah.
Then after Haugen Pass, we went to Hill 190. And on Hill 190, it's a fire base hill. We had mortars there, and we went out on day patrols and night ambushes all the time, trying to catch them coming in for supplies. I did go on one operation with the whole company out in the foothills. That's where the Cobra helicopters, they pounded the area where we went.
They were nice to see, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. And then we were transported by, is it CH-46 Sea Knights helicopters, the twin blades? They weren't Chinooks at that time.
We call them shit hooks.
Yeah. But we got dropped off there at an LZ, and after we got everybody on the LZ and out towards the ridge line, we had to go up through the jungle and up to a higher ridge line. And fortunately or unfortunately, I was the point man for the whole company there. And basically, I had to give my M16 to the guy behind me because I had to have a machete to cut through some of that stuff there, get up the hill. And a lot of work. Reminded me of the farm. But anyway, as we were going up there, I hit one of those banana trees or whatever they are. I had black ants all over me. They're just biting away. So the guys came up to help me get them off me. And that wasn't fun, but...
How long had you been in country when this happened?
Oh man, this must have been about a month.
Month?
about a month.
So you're still a newbie,
Oh yeah, they put the new guys in the point.
right? Doesn't make sense, does it?
No. Anyway, we finished going up to the top of the ridge. When I got to the top of the ridge, I finally got my M16 back. And I was surprised what I found on top of that ridge. It was a well-worn path. It looked like a cow path on the farm. It was into the ground that deep. So we sent word back and they said what direction to go, so I went to my left. And we got the whole company up on top of this ridge line. I sat down by a tree to watch the path that was coming uphill. And I kind of relaxed a little bit. I thought I was done with all that point thing. And unfortunately, I let my guard down. When I looked up, there was an NBA soldier just a few feet from me. He dove to the right, I dove to the left as I was shooting, and I continued shooting till the screaming stopped. And then we moved back up to the spot where I was again. And watching the trail coming up, and because I was a point person there yet, the rest of the company was behind us. And I could see some movement coming up a trail up this little ravine. All of a sudden I locked eyes with a guy. He must have been about 10, 15 yards away. And I could see him through the jungle. And I still see it to this day. You know, your sight alignment picture, the peep sight, and I seen his head there. I squeezed. The squad leader came running up, and I told him what had happened. And he said, just cover me, I'll go check and see what happened, and see if you got him or not. So he ran down the ravine, and came back with the weapon. He said, yep, you got him. So, that was my first two. That was my initiation into being point man, and welcome to Vietnam, I guess. Then we just sat there, and the rest of some other squad came up and ran down the path because they were trying to find some more Vietnamese soldiers. Came back and they had heard some shooting, but they said they didn't get anybody. So.
Tough way to get initiated into the country, isn't it?
Yeah, that's yeah. You just don't forget it. It sticks in your memory. And we finished our operation up there. I honestly can't remember if they flew us out of there or we marched back. I thought we went down the ridgeline back to Hill 190, a few miles away. I think that's what we did. But it was a continuation there with the 26th Marines of going out on night ambushes, day patrols, trying to make contact with the Vietnamese. On our night ambush sites, we had, I'm sure you remember the Starlight scope, maybe. We had that in our squad, and I don't know if that was beneficial or not, because when you took away that scope, you couldn't see anything.
Right.
But
so when you hunkered down for the night, that was one of my jobs, is to make sure that you guys were giving me your grid, and we'd make sure that that artillery would know where to hit.
Yeah.
So you had a radio man that called that in, or?
Yeah, each squad had a radio man, and we had our platoon sergeant. Usually it was a sergeant. Our squad leader was a sergeant usually, and we had our platoon sergeant also. But yeah, they'd call in our coordinates where we're at.
Just so they didn't bring fire down on top of you.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever have any close calls with artillery?
Yeah, with ours. I mean, when we go out on some patrols or even night missions for ambushes, we'd use the mortars, use the, what do they call that? Well, they shoot a mortar around it, it glows. parachute, what do they call that?
Oh, the flares,
The flares.
yeah.
We call them in quite a bit at night to see where we're at. And usually when we call in a firing mission, we ask for that Willie Peter round first to smoke, find out where it is, and fire for effect. And when you go out on your night ambushes, you walk out, you only go so far and you stop. You wait till it gets darker, so they're watching you.
Mm-hmm.
So after it gets pitch dark, then you go to your ambush site. And make contact or not, that determines what happens.
Can you, how's an ambush site set up? Can you explain that, or?
Well, usually you got where you think you're going to meet contact, you got about 3-4 guys there. You got some guys in the middle and the tail end. And you just anticipate where you're going to make contact. Usually at an ambush site, 1 to 2 guys are awake all night or take turns to keep awake and watch so that if any North Vietnamese come that you can confront them. I hardly slept on an ambush site. I know you're supposed to trust your Marines, but at night I had one eye open all the time trying to make sure that they didn't fall asleep while we were there. Heard too many horror stories about that.
Were you did you have very many successful ambushes?
Oh yeah, we had, we made contact every once in a while. Well, what else happened? And 26 went home, by the way, after 6 months. 26,
You went home after 6 months?
No, the 26 went home. They left me there.
Oh, the 26 went home, okay.
The 26 Marines went home after 6 months, and we were transferred to 1st Marine Division. I forget where it is.
Take your time.
Here it is. We were transferred to 1st Marine Battalion, 1st Marines, and I joined them March 2nd, 1970. So it was a whole new company that we joined. And basically, we continued with everything there too, with night ambushes, patrols. We went towards the south of Da Nang at that time. We were trucked there. Went to a fire base hill. I think it was 55, I'm not sure. It was during those patrols I finally saw my first punji pit.
Really?
Yeah, I hadn't seen one with the 26, but I did with now. And with the punji pit, it was an old one, so you could see it pretty easy. But they dug them right next to the trails, and that was with the intent of when they start shooting at you, you dive to their side. But didn't look like a pleasant place to dive into, because there was bamboo.
You want to explain a bungee pit? A lot of people don't know what that is.
Punji pit is a hole. This one must have been about 3 feet wide and about 5 feet long. It was at least 1.5 foot to 2 feet deep, but it had stakes, punji bamboo stakes, and usually put stuff that's poisonous on the tip of it, feces or whatever. So when you dive in there, you get stuck with that or step on them. You have to get medevaced out usually because of infection from them. I didn't see too many, but I saw them on the patrol when we were there. And,
booby traps?
when you're walking point, you're always looking for that. But fortunately, I didn't come across any wires across. First guy's looking pretty much straight ahead and down. The guys behind you are looking to the sides for any ambushes.
You work as a unit.
Right. And this unit I joined, we went back to Hill 190. rotated back there again, so we trucked up to that area.
So when you're on the Hill 190, or whenever you went to a fire base, did you have a place to sack out? I mean,
Yeah, we had concertina wire around the fire base, and we had trenches dug around the fire base, and we had a wooden platform hooch so you could go in there and sleep, which was kind of nice, and were able to eat some decent food. At your time, have to go back and rest and get some sleep and food.
so how many days would you spend? Like you go out for so long and come back so long?
Pretty much. Well, when we're at the fire base and just doing patrols and night ambushes, we go out each night. So every night, pretty much, if you're not on perimeter, you're out at a night ambush somewhere. For a while, we worked with you call it a CAP unit, and that's South Vietnamese soldiers working with your Marine squad, and you go out on night ambushes together with them, and we lived in the village, kind of in their own compound area, with sandbags and trenches built there too. And,
Is that the popular force, the PFs, they call them, or was that
we
South
call
Viet-
them CAP units. But,
South Vietnamese Army?
oh, those, yes. But there again, the trust factor with the South Vietnamese soldiers was very low. We were going out on a night ambush. We had half of us were South Vietnamese and half of us were Marines. And as we were going out to our ambush site, one of the South Vietnamese soldiers said, "VC, VC, shoot him, shoot him." I looked, and no, because one was high, one was short, one was high, one was short. I could see the silhouette and the skyline. And I don't understand why this guy wanted us to shoot our own guys. I mean, so my trust factor with the South Vietnamese soldiers was not good. I radioed the other squad and we pulled together that night and just kind of combined our ambush site. There are other times too, with this CAP unit, we go out and I put them in the back of the ambush site always. I didn't want them up front.
What's your rank now?
I might have been up to a lance corporal. I was a fire team leader. Anyway, some South Vietnamese soldiers were very good, but some of them just didn't. I think they're against us.
That's pretty much universal, as I remember.
Because I was at a ambush site one night with these guys. All of a sudden I could smell marijuana. What the heck? So I look over there, I could see the smoke. So I went over there, went up to that South Vietnamese soldier, pulled it out of his mouth. I said, "Number 10, number 10. They can smell you, I mean.
Yeah, it's one thing on the fire base, but out on patrol is a no-no.
No, this was at an ambush site. So I went back and all of a sudden I heard some scurrying over there, some tussling with the South Vietnamese. I didn't know what was going on there, but I was more concerned about our ambush site where we're facing for the North Vietnamese. Got back next day and found out this guy wanted to kill me, South Vietnamese soldiers. So they had put him in chicken cages. It was only about 1.5 feet high and 3-4 feet wide. They had him in there all day. So the captain of the South Vietnamese force was quite a soldier. He brought back, he was definitely, he could have been a Marine real easy. He went out on his own and brought back North Vietnamese soldiers on his own. He was a soldier.
So how long you been there now? 6, 8 months?
Okay, 6, 7, about 7 months now.
7 months. Did you ever go on R&R?
Yeah, we went. I went to Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't understand why they did that, because you're all tuned up for combat, and then all of a sudden they send you to a place for 2 weeks and
To relax and
to
drink.
relax, and then you're supposed to come back and fight again. But I went to Hong Kong, enjoyed myself there, and had to get back. I think we were still at Hill 190 when I got back, and continued with night ambushes. I know one time we made contact. We had combined 2 squads together around.
So in a squad, how many riflemen and
Usually
somebody carry an M60 or what?
Each squad had an M60 machine gun team with them. The team consisted of 3 to 4 guys, because you had to change that barrel in a firefight. The barrel would get red hot, and you had to change that and get it cold barreled on there as they continued shooting. We usually had a M79, a blooper man we called them,
Grenade launcher.
grenade launcher. I did that for a while when I was in the squad too. But usually it's about 13, 14 guys, riflemen. But we made contact one night, and the far squad, they were shooting with the M60 machine gun because they got hit in their side, and then all of a sudden I looked to our north, and here's 2-3 VC right almost on top of us. We were in a firefight there too. In the mornings we took the...
How long the firefight lasts usually?
Oh, it can go from 10 to 15 minutes to 20 minutes, depends on how many are there. It doesn't last too long because everybody's shooting at each other. But what got to me is we're in this cap unit, and we're supposed to be there to work with the village people and, help them out. And
Pacification?
yeah. Anyway, that morning after this last firefight we were in, they brought the bodies to the village, and set them alongside the village, and their relatives come out, and they're crying.
Because these are VC, they're not NVA.
They're VC.
They're VC, yeah.
But just it went through my mind is, what the heck are we doing here? We're out there killing their sons and daughters. We're trying to pacify them. It's like, war isn't fun, that's for sure.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Trying to remember. I had to write stuff down.
It's 50 some years ago.
Oh, yeah. One night ambush, I thought I was a dunner. We'd set up for a night ambush here off of Hill 190 again down in the valley. And we set up our claymores. Every night ambush we set up claymores usually. This time, one of the guys in the squad, he didn't tell me where he set that claymore mine up. And shoot, I was within 7 to 8 feet from the claymore mine. Fortunately, the mine was up a little higher on some ground, and I was down lower on the backside of the blast.
And it went off.
Well, I heard somebody in our squad said, "I hear him coming." So he set off the claymores, and from the concussion of that claymore, I couldn't even move. I wanted to move, I couldn't. I was just numb, and my ears were ringing. And when I finally got to move, I checked myself for injuries. But like I said, I received the backside of that claymore blast, not the front side.
But even from the backside, you get quite a concussion.
Oh, yeah. Like I
Because the
said,
BBs go out the front.
yeah. Well, I was pissed. I got hold of that guy in the squad. Why didn't you tell me where you put that thing? But then we moved south of Da Nang again. They kept moving us around. I'm not sure why, but to get you used to different areas. Or,
How'd you get there? Deuce and a half, or
yeah, deuce and a half.
never Huey in?
Just one time, and that was on that operation that I ride in a helicopter. Most of the time is by trucks.
How many guys they put on a helicopter like a Huey?
It was at least a squad. What, 14 of us, 15 of us?
That'll be on a Chinook, right?
Yeah, a Chinook.
Chinook, yeah.
I was on a Huey. No.
Yep, never on a Huey, okay.
But they moved us to the south part of Da Nang again. We were up on an observation hill, and up on this observation hill, I can't remember the name of it. They had a tower on top of it with a big night scope and telescope combined somehow. And they could watch the movement of the NVA down in the valley. And on top of this hill, we had a 155 howitzer. They had a team up there to run that, and they'd be shooting that at night too. And it was interesting. They could shoot, I don't know how far they can shoot, but they shot across the valley.
10 miles?
Is it 10 miles? I mean, we were shooting at a cave. We could see a big cave across the valley into another hillside. Every once in a while they'd see a light in that cave and they'd shoot at that. But in the valley, in the lower valley, they could see the NVA troops moving through too. And they call in missions. And I was able to watch the jets drop napalm too. I wouldn't want to be the receiving end of that. Napalm is vicious.
It'd suck all the oxygen out of here,
Yeah.
plus the blast.
I was able to, we called in, what do we call them, Puff the Magic Dragon, Snoopy. We utilized them on night ambushes also.
They were fun to watch, weren't they?
And when you're down the
Tracers?
yeah. We had them working above us one time when we had our company out. And it was just a solid red stream coming down. And it looked like it was coming right at you, but just fan out. You could just hear the bullets all the way around.
Miniguns.
It was amazing what they could do with that. Useful tools. Then, towards the end of my tour, I thought I was going home.
Short timer?
Yeah, I kept a short timer calendar, marking off the days. But my last few days, I came down with malaria.
Oh, good.
So I was transported out of there. I don't know how I got out of there, but I was in a...
So did you spend the whole time, they didn't bring you out of the field when you got like 2 weeks left or so? Nothing?
No.
You were in the whole...
I came down with malaria. That was my end of the...
2 days before
my rest.
So you got malaria, they didn't send you home with malaria?
No, they sent me to the rear area, and from that rear area, they sent me to a hospital ship. And when I woke up, I was in the Philippines. Malaria, I don't wish that on anybody. You're sweating and shaking at the same time. They're giving you shots and to bring your temperature down. And anyway, when I woke up, I was in the Philippines, and they flew me back to Da Nang, to where I was, and took the Freedom Bird home.
So, were you taking malaria pills over there?
All the time.
The big one on Monday and the little one the rest of the week?
Yeah, I took malaria pills, and I took all our water that we drank. We put those iodine pills in. Tasted awful, but boy, found out what happens when you don't put it in there.
It's kind of coming out green for a few days. I remember that, yeah.
I know we were at a well, and I thought the well would be safe, so I didn't put those iodine pills in. And oh boy, did I regret it the next day.
Miserable 3 days.
Yeah.
So how long were you on the hospital ship?
I was gone for a week, so I don't know how long I was there.
So when you were done with malaria, or did you get reactions after that?
I think I was done with it, but they wouldn't take my blood when I came back to the United States, not for a year. You couldn't donate blood.
Just for a year?
That's what they told me.
Okay,
So I didn't donate.
yeah. So you, where'd you fly into on coming home?
Well, left Da Nang and we flew into,
Well, of course, when that Freedom Bird got off the ground, was it kind of chaotic?
Everybody cheered. Glad to get out of there.
Yeah.
I had a friend in the rear area. You know, you had to check out before you go, obviously.
And then you hold your breath for about at least a half hour till you know you're out of Vietnam.
Yeah.
You're not going to get shot down.
I almost signed up, you know, for a second tour, but after that malaria, I thought, no way. Like I said, I had this friend, Craig was his name. He said, you don't want to come back here again. Get out of here.
Yeah. So you flew from Vietnam? You must have made a few stops on the way home.
No, we flew right
Japan,
straight.
Alaska, anything?
Travelers Air Force Base, was it? In California? I think
Yeah.
that was open then. I think we flew into there. And then they didn't want us in the Marine Corps for our guys that just got back from Vietnam. They didn't want us contaminating the new recruits, so we got discharged.
Oh, you got separated from?
Oh, yeah. I got separated with, was it, back in August.
So you weren't done when you got back to the States, were you?
No, when I went in, they had a special program, 6 months training, a year overseas in Vietnam, and early out, and full benefits. So that's what I took.
So you got out when you got back from Vietnam?
Yeah, I still had my commitment for reserve action, which I didn't have any reserve units around me, so I just had to wait for the 4 year, total 4 years.
Well, you had to stay in reserves for like four or 6 years, didn't you?
I was supposed to, yes.
But you weren't active reserves, right?
No.
Right.
No, it was just kind of like, you're on call. That was about it.
Yeah. So you got out, what'd you do? You go home?
Yeah, I got out as an E5. And when I got home, I trying to decide what to do. And I went to the University of Crookston for a year. I thought I was going to be a forest ranger.
Ranger?
But I changed my mind after a while when I got into chemistry. I thought, okay, there's something better.
You're on GI Bill then, or?
Yeah.
Which at the time was kind of a joke. I think it was like $230 or something.
Yeah, it wasn't that much, but it paid for some of the
But it
college.
helped.
Then I changed my mind, went to Alexandria Technical College for law enforcement training. Finished that and got a job in Stevens County as a deputy sheriff.
And where?
Stevens County, that's Morris, Minnesota.
Okay.
I was there in 1970, end of 73, 74. And in 1975, I was elected sheriff and stayed there until 1980. 1980 in March, I went to the tech college to teach. So I taught there in law enforcement.
Over there. Good.
And then retired from there. Now I'm active in 5 service organizations, the Legion, the VFW, the Marine Corps League, I'm active in, the DAV, and we got a BVA organization also in Alexandria. So I'm a life member of all 5.
Kind of busy, aren't you?
Yeah, got to set some aside and get more active in the others.
So, Grant, anything else you want to add? I mean, you had quite a life.
Yeah, it's like some of the soldiers. Some of us had to get some counseling, and I went through that.
PTSD or?
Yeah, and had some good counselors, and It taught me how to deal with stressful situations. I went in a profession that kind of fit PTSD criteria. You got to be alert all the time, and law enforcement too. You can't slough off. And it fit.
So when did you start getting help? Do you remember?
Well,
Was it right away or after you
oh,
got back?
I seemed to get more anxious as time passed. And I knew something was going on, but I kind of pushed it.
Had to be something going on, yeah. Everything you went through.
And then when I was at the college, and I started going to the VA more, and found out definitely something was going on. That's when I got some counseling, and it definitely helped.
Good.
In combat, it's you don't forget. When there's downtime, sometimes you go back to thinking what you did, and it's not good. So I always try to keep busy.
Yeah.
War isn't like what they do on TV. I can guarantee you that.
It's not glamorous.
No, not glamorous. It's loud. It's vicious. He's got the smells. So.
Some of them smells you never forget, do you?
No. So that's what I kind of like, nowadays is evidently being in the military is popular now. People walk up to you and thank you for your service. When I got back, they didn't thank me.
Did you notice after 9/11 how everything changed for the military? It seemed it just got better at least for me.
Yeah. I think people have started to realize and appreciate the people that served in their country. Now it's almost like you almost don't want to wear your hat sometimes because people are congratulating and thanking you all the time.
Yeah, it's been different, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's nice. It's nice that people reflect on that and honor your service.
Yeah. Anything else, Grant, you can think of?
No, it's the ribbons. You always got those, the medals you get. And, I guess the two higher medals I received was the Navy Accommodation Medal with the Combat V and
Combat Infantry Badge?
Yeah, I got the Combat Badge and Naval Accommodation and Achievement Medals. Those were two higher ones. In fact, I think there was an article in the Stephen paper when I got that even. But you got the other medals. But it makes you grow up quick in Vietnam. So.
Yeah, well, Grant, I want to thank you for your service, great service, and your continued service. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for yours also.